Ma'am, you don't belong in first class. Move, or we'll have you removed! The agent's voice boomed, loud enough for the terminal to hear. Passengers leaned in, some laughing, others recording as a black woman's boarding pass was torn from her hand. Security was called, whispers of fraud spread like wildfire, and humiliation tightened around her like a noose. But what the airline didn't realize, the woman they were trying to throw out had the authority to ground every single plane. The departure hall pulsed with noise, rolling suitcases, flight announcements, the metallic hiss of escalators. But at gate 47, the air grew sharp with tension. A black woman, confident and calm, stepped forward. Her name was Alicia Monroe, CEO of Monarch Global, one of the fastest-growing aviation firms in the world. She had a confirmed ticket for seat 2A, first class. She handed her boarding pass to the gate agent with a polite smile. The scanner beeped green, but the agent's expression hardened. He glanced at Alicia, then at the ticket, as if something didn't compute. "Ma'am, this isn't valid," he said loudly, projecting his voice so everyone could hear. Alicia's brow furrowed. It scanned. "Clearly it's valid," the agent shook his head. "Not for you. First class is reserved for certain profiles. You don't fit," passengers behind her chuckled. A man whispered, "Knew it was a mistake." Another muttered, "Probably used points." Phones rose, cameras ready for the humiliation. Alicia kept her voice steady. "This is my ticket." "I'm taking my seat," the agent sneered. "Not today." He ripped the ticket from her hand and waved for security. "Escort her out. She's trying to sneak into first class." The crowd stirred. Mothers tugged children closer. Teens grinned while live streaming. The spectacle was irresistible. An elegant woman accused of fraud in front of hundreds. Two guards approached. One barked, "Ma'am, step aside." Alicia looked directly at them. "Before you put your hands on me, I suggest you think carefully about what happens next." Her calmness unnerved them, but the agent doubled down. "She's disruptive. Remove her." One guard reached for her arm. Passengers clapped, some cheering as though justice were being served. Alicia exhaled slowly. Then, with deliberate composure, she pulled out her phone. A single press and a red light blinked. "What's that?" the agent demanded. "A live feed," Alicia said evenly. "Everything you've said, everything you've done, is now broadcasting to my legal team and regulators." The chuckles in the crowd faded. Phones shifted from mocking her to filming the agent. Still, the humiliation continued. "You're bluffing," he spat. "You'll be in handcuffs before that video matters." Alicia tilted her head, her voice slicing through the noise. "Is that so? Then explain, on record, why you claimed I don't fit the profile for first class. Explain why you tore up a valid boarding pass." The agent froze. His words were now evidence, but he tried one last push. "Enough. She's not boarding this flight." Alicia's eyes locked on his. "Wrong. This airline isn't flying at all." Her thumb tapped the screen again. Within seconds, her call connected. A new voice filled the terminal. Firm, authoritative, undeniable. "Ms. Monroe, we received your signal. Effective immediately. We are grounding this airline's operations pending investigation." Gasps swept through the crowd. The guards stepped back, confused. The gate agent's face drained of color. What do you mean, grounding?" he stammered. Alicia raised her voice, making sure every passenger heard. "I am Alicia Monroe, CEO of Monarch Global, and a senior advisor to the Federal Aviation Authority. Right now, 190 of your flights are being frozen. Effective immediately." The terminal erupted in chaos. Passengers shouted, phones buzzed with alerts, screens flashed, "Flight delayed" in bold red. News outlets picked up the live stream within minutes. The agent staggered back. "This can't be happening!" Alicia stepped closer, her voice sharp as a blade. "You thought you could strip me of dignity. Instead, you stripped your company of $4 billion in market value overnight. You mocked me in front of strangers, and now the world is watching you collapse." The guards lowered their heads. One whispered, "I'm sorry, ma'am." She didn't answer. She walked calmly down the jet bridge, past first-class passengers, whose smug faces were now pale with shock. She sat in seat 2A, the silence around her louder than any insult. The fallout was instant. By the time the plane landed, the story had exploded online. The livestream racked up 3 million views in under 12 hours. Headlines bled, Airline grounds 190 flights after humiliating black CEO and 4B disaster triggered by discrimination at Gate 47. Executives scrambled. Shareholders demanded resignations. Stock prices tanked. Regulators launched sweeping investigations into systemic bias. But Alicia didn't stop there. She convened a press conference, her words broadcast worldwide. They thought humiliation would erase me. Instead, it erased them. Respect is not optional, it's law. And today, law came knocking at 30,000 feet. Applause thundered. Journalists shouted questions, their flashes illuminating her calm resolve. One reporter asked, "Do you regret what happened?" Alicia's answer cut through the room. "Regret belongs to them. All I did was remind the world that power isn't given. It's taken back when arrogance crosses the line." Her words became a rallying cry. The clip circulated endlessly online, a symbol of defiance and justice. The hashtag #RespectIsLaw trended for weeks. Within days, passengers across the world began sharing their own stories of humiliation at airports, denied upgrades, singled out for random checks, or whispered about in security lines. Alicia's moment had cracked open a silence millions carried. Now people were speaking, and governments had no choice but to listen. Regulators convened emergency sessions. In the US, new legislation was introduced, requiring every airline to undergo bias and ethics audits. In Europe, consumer groups filed class action suits, citing Alicia's case as proof of systemic failure. What began at Gate 47 had become a global reckoning. Monarch Global surged, not just in profits but in reputation. Travelers flocked to Alicia's airline, calling it the carrier of dignity. For the first time in decades, customer trust shifted overnight, guided not by advertising but by truth. Alicia, however, refused to claim the victory as hers alone. At a UN conference weeks later, she stood at the podium, her voice commanding, "This was never just my fight. It is the fight of every traveler who has been told they don't belong." Today, we turn humiliation into law. Today, respect becomes non-negotiable. The hall thundered with applause, ambassadors rising to their feet. For Richard Hale, the gate agent, and every executive who had once laughed at her, there was no return. Their names became cautionary tales in boardrooms. But Alicia Monroe's name became something greater, a permanent reminder that arrogance can dominate a room for a moment, but truth will always dominate history. They tried to erase her dignity in front of strangers, but she turned one humiliation into a worldwide reckoning. If this story shook you, hit like right now. Share it so millions more see what happens when truth takes flight. Comment where you're watching from and the moment that hit hardest. And don't forget, subscribe and turn on notifications to never miss the next reckoning.